Hey everybody, tonight's video is going to be a retro review and we're going to talk about, well actually it's not going to be a retro review, it's going to be part 2, or issue 2 rather, of the Sandman Mystery Theater Retrospective. There we go, let's do that. This is again written by Matt Wagner with art by Guy Davis, and we have a continuation of trying to figure out who the spider is. We open with some of the detectives and cops trying to figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, Diane Belmont runs into the Sandman. She doesn't know who he is, and he's aware of her, but you know, Wesley Dodds is trying to keep a low profile, so he doesn't say anything to her. But it just scares the hell out of her. She's not used to that. And she comes out there and tries to talk to her father, and her father just puts her off, you know. And finally, she says, I know that there is a body at the morgue. I would like to go identify that body. And her father's like, no, that's ridiculous. And she says, I know Catherine. I know that she has birthmarks and beauty marks on certain parts of her body. I will know more than anybody whether it's her or not. I don't want her parents to have to go through that. So please, let me do this for them. And so he agrees, and they go down and take a look at the body, and I'm not going to show you those images, but she determines it's not Catherine. She says she doesn't have the right marks on her. Meanwhile, you get to see that Catherine is alive and well, and she is being held by this masked figure, and he's trying to get some information out of her. And she's like, he doesn't tell me things. It's just a good time. I'd tell you if I knew it. And then he goes back upstairs, and there's somebody in a veil, kind of like a mourning veil, like a widow, right here. And he's like, she doesn't know, we should just go ahead and let her go. And the person in the wedding, or the mourning veil, says, be quiet, I know what he's like after love, childlike and open, he told her, I'm sure, and stop behaving like such an innocent. I know you're enjoying this. Then you cut back to New York City, and you've got Diane and Wesley run into each other in a cab, and he's overcome with grief over the murders. And then he says, I'm sorry, I know men aren't supposed to show emotion like that. You know, what I like about this, to make it a retrospective and not just a blow-by-blow, I like how Matt Wagner has purposefully put this pace together. You're moving forward. It's not at a snail's pace. It's not lightning fast. It's not like you're reading a story of the Flash, but things are progressing. You're getting a full story each issue, but you're also getting forward momentum, forward movement, so that you can say, okay, well, we didn't know who the spider is in the first issue. Now we have a couple of more pieces, you know, to put together of the Rubik's Cube that is this murder mystery. Okay, so there's that. And then you go from there, and Diane decides she's just going to stay in for the night, and she receives a letter from Wesley Dodds. And it just says, I'm writing to apologize for my behavior of last night, and by way of repentance, I can only offer you these belated words of courage. The human spirit is a vast and powerful thing. So long as any chance for your friend's safety endures, cling to it with all the memory of your times spent together. And in the end, it says, here if you should ever need me, Wesley Dodds. And one of the detectives is getting caught up trying to find out who this spider character is. And so he hears something outside. He gets gassed by Wesley. And Wesley ends up getting to the guy that they were looking for first, Charlie Malloy. And he says, I have some questions for you now, Charlie, and I know that you'll answer truthfully. And he ends up finding him, and Charlie's still alive. He's just gassed and knocked out, but he's got this little paper diamond on top of him, which was, you know, apparently it looks like a calling card. And in the end, you go back to a party with Diane Belmont and Wesley Dodds, which this is a story overall about Diane and Wesley. It's not really about the Sandman. It's more that Wesley is a bystander in all of this. It's kind of like Bruce Wayne feels the necessity to be Batman. Wesley Dodds is driven to be the Sandman, to go out here and do these superheroic things, even though he's a little bit pudgier than usual, and not as heroic on his day-to-day life. Let's see. So in the end, another person's been captured by the spider, and you're trying to figure out, still trying to figure out who this character is. And is the spider the guy in the hood? Is the spider the womanly figure in the mask and the veil? Who is the spider exactly? So you still have a lot of story. I think each one of these that Matt wrote, and I think Stephen T. Seagal, when he took over, each one of them is generally part 1 of 5. So they're broken down into kind of bite-sized morsels of 5 issues so that you get an introduction to what's going on. Then we have forward motion. Then we get the pieces slowly put together, and then you move on to the next storyline. So if you like this Guy Davis artwork, it kind of took me a while to get used to it, but eventually I did fall in love with it. And unfortunately, towards the end of the series, he had a lot of fill-in artists because he wasn't a fast enough artist to be able to do 12 issues a year. He was only able to do about 8 to 9 on a good year. So, but like I said, if you haven't read this series, there are 2 compendiums that take the whole series. I think it ran for 70 issues, and I think you can find it on Amazon or on Comixology or something. And I read those. I think almost the whole series was available to read for free. You just had to borrow the books and then return them as you needed to put them back. So great series, highly underrated series for the 90s. If you get a chance, check it out. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. If you have not, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I've got a lot more amazing content coming up for you very, very shortly. Have a great day.